We need to move away from the false solutions of carbon offsetting and towards an agenda of real climate justice. We know what needs to be done. We need to focus on the structural changes that we need to make happen. First, we need to start leaving fossil fuels in the ground. So that's the kind of agenda we need to be talking about, because that's the kind of agenda that will deliver real emissions reductions and global justice, not what they're talking about inside. So on Wednesday, that's our first strategic goal, change the agenda so that when people talk about climate change politics on Thursday, they'll say, oh yeah, you know, we need to get out of the fossil fuel system, not, okay, we need more emissions trading. Thousands and thousands and thousands of activists using the tools of confrontational but non-violent civil disobedience will enter the conference area, right? That means all of us need to be prepared. We need to be organized in affinity groups. We need to have an idea what's going on, because we are not just going to try to get into the conference area, we will get into the conference area.
My concern is we all know that a fight with the cops is capable of ending all other conversations. And I think there is an opportunity. There is actually a lot of hope inside the Bella Center that the 16th really can be a people's assembly, that it can show how crazy this discussion is. You know, inside the Bella Center, they have seminars going on all day about adapting to climate change, okay? So you go to these seminars, and it's about how the clever people in Bangladesh are adapting to climate change by building boats, okay? But we're not talking about the real adaptation to climate change, which is us changing our behavior, okay? And this is what we have a chance to show the world with the world media, what an actual climate summit should look like. There are a lot of people who want to join with us, but it's a precarious situation. It's really a precarious situation. It's nothing like Seattle. There are government delegations that are thinking about joining you. If this turns into a riot, it's going to be a riot. We know this story. I'm not saying it's not an interesting story, but it is what it is. It's only one story. It will turn into that. So I understand the question about how do we take care of each other, but I disagree that that means fighting the cops. I think if we're serious... And let me tell you, never in my life have I ever said that before. No, I have never condemned people's tactics. I understand the rage. I don't do this. I'm doing it now because I believe that there is something very, very important going on, a lot of courage being shown in that center, and people need the support. And let me tell you, they're not fighting for a good deal. Bolivia's not fighting for a good deal. Africa's not fighting for a good deal. They're trying to stop a disastrous deal from being imposed on them. And this is where you come in. The stakes are very, very high. When we're talking about creating this huge carbon market and creating agreements that allow multinational corporations to take over forests and push indigenous people off their lands, do you know what the indigenous delegation all week has been fighting like crazy to get the word consent into the text of that agreement so that indigenous people have to be asked for their consent before they're kicked off their land, and they have lost that fight. That's why they're going to be walking out. We need to hear this. People need to understand that.
What do you suggest is the tactic?
Well, I think it's
the entrance and allow them to...
I don't know exactly what the tactics should be, but I think, you know, the reason why I am standing with Reclaim Power is because it clearly says that people will not escalate, even if attacked by the cops. We can't control the cops, but we can control our own behavior. It's not, these are going to be acts of civil disobedience. There are going to be strategies. You've got some incredible organizers in your midst, and there are going to be strategies for dealing with police violence. But I think people should be very clear that anybody who escalates is not with us. Is not with us. Because people are going to be taking tremendous risks when they come out. I'm sorry. sorry, I know a lot of people are upset about this, about me saying this, but I've been recruiting all week for this. And I've been recruiting for it based on the stated principles that are there, and I think we have a responsibility to defend them. Like I said, I have never said this before. I believe this is an important, historic discussion.